Welcome back to Anxiety Makes Me Poop. I did not have to start this one over 50 times, but I am freezing in here, so you might hear the heat in the background, but that's fine. It's a little cold out. So no Cass today because she is very sick. She's been off work, I think, all week. Ugh. I asked her, is this COVID-8 or COVID-9? She says just a bad cold, but oh my goodness, poor thing. I don't even know if she's working tomorrow. She might be off the whole week, and that's terrible when you have to have a sick staycation and not even a vacation from work, you know? And then the other thing is we were supposed to record on Wednesday night, but we got blown off by a guest that actually booked us in December, and we kept writing emails saying, you know, just confirming, and they completely ghosted us. So unfortunately, we had to post a little message on the Clopen effect and say, you know, if you're going to be a guest, you better show up, you know? So not a great week, but that's totally fine. Here I am. And I want to talk about something that I don't know if everyone has experienced this, but I remember reading a story about someone that always took the train. And they would see someone and this gentleman would wave to the train and everybody would wave back. And one day he decided that he was going to go meet the gentleman that always waved to the train when it went by. And it wasn't the experience he expected. Well, I had something similar like that happen. There's this gas station at the state line up here. Okay. It's right in the middle of my commute. So I have never stopped at it. I usually get my coffee or fill up my tank or you get my lottery tickets for my lottery group before it at another gas station or after it. Okay. Cause it's at the state line. I just quickly drive past it. But outside they have one of those lighted signs with the arrow, and it's a really old sign. It's a really old building, but they've actually, they just remodeled it, I think, a couple years ago or so. So it's not scary or anything. I just have never stopped there just because of the commute. But anyways, they have this lighted sign and they change the messages every couple days, like with the black bubble letters, you know. Sometimes it's every week, but sometimes it's like a happy birthday. It's so-and-so's 50, honk. Sometimes the messages are so funny. They're clever. They're like kind of slightly messed up, but in the best way. Kind of like what we put on Anxiety Makes Me Poop Instagram and Facebook pages, those memes. It's like play on words, quotes that are just enough to make you laugh as you're driving by, kind of giggle and chuckle and like, oh my gosh, they have that out there. Okay. It's been years that they've done this. Okay. So in my head, this gas station that I have never stopped at before became one of the funniest places to drive past. Funniest establishments around. Okay. Because I kept thinking to myself, man, if these signs are that funny, the people inside must be hilarious. Okay. So I had this vision. So after years of passing by, I finally stopped in a couple weeks ago. Okay. Because I received some scratch off tickets for Christmas, and it's right at the state line where they accept Wisconsin or Illinois. So I thought, you know what? I will just stop there because they were Wisconsin and I live in Illinois. So I walk in, no one's at the counter, which is fine. I have a digital ticket that I won like $5 on. So I went over to the standalone machine and clicked that and got a new one. And then the cashier comes up to the register and looks out the window. And what I wanted to do was take the scratch offs that I got for Christmas and trade them in and keep playing just for fun. You know, you play till you're done or you play till you win or whatever. So I look over at her and I say, good afternoon. Nothing. Not even a blink. Like I was like, oh, you know, maybe she's deaf. No, I don't know. You know what I mean? So I try again. How's your day? You know, how's it going? She looks down at me because the counter and the register are a little bit higher. Like she looks down at people that are standing there. Fine. And immediately looks away, back out onto the street. And I'm like, oh, you know what? She's probably watching someone getting gas, or maybe there's some sassiness going on out there. Fine, you know. So I just am like, I start telling her that I'd like to trade in some scratch off tickets that I won from Christmas and, you know, like that I just want to trade them in. And she sighs this full, heavy sigh, grabs my ticket, scans it, and says, all right, what ticket do you want? Just tell me a number. And I was like, I don't think she's the one that writes the signs. I'm thinking that's not her, you know? So I finished the transaction and I leave, but I totally feel empty inside. I'm like, oh, it's not a funny place. This fun, clever place I built in my head does not exist. I mean, okay, granted, the signs are still funny. I've passed them the past couple of weeks and I've chuckled, but they don't feel the same anymore. Have you ever had this happen? Oh. So here's a little bit of the psychology behind this, maybe. Some of it. We could dig real deep, but we're gonna stay kind of, I don't want to get sad about this, okay? Our brains are constantly predicting what's going to happen next. They do this to keep us safe and to conserve our energy. When we don't have all the information, our brains fill in the blanks, exactly like what mine did. This place must be hilarious. The people in there are hilarious. These signs are so funny. They're so encouraging. Happy 50th birthday. Honk if you know so-and-so. Bob's turning 70. All this kind of fun stuff. And I thought, wow, what a fun, cool place, okay? So, and after seeing these funny signs over and over and over and over again, you know, because I go up there, you know, 5 times a week, I pass it. My brain decided this was the happiest place on earth. It's not. We know this now. It assumed the people inside would be warm and fuzzy and funny and easy to interact with. Because of that expectation, my body actually prepared for a positive experience. My nervous system relaxed. There was a little bit of an excitement, which is so silly, right? The more I talk about it, the funnier it is. Like, I'm all excited to go into the gas station. I was just happy to meet the people, right? Maybe I would even get a small little dopamine release, you know, that chemical tied to anticipation and reward that I'm finally meeting these super, super funny people. When the interaction didn't match what my brain had wrote a story about for years and predicted, my body reacted before I could think logically about it. That hollow, disappointed feeling was not me being dramatic. It was my nervous system responding to a sudden mismatch between expectations and reality. Psychologically, disappointment can feel like a drop, like a whoosh. The body goes from, this is going to be good, to, oh, whoa, something's off, very quickly. And that's exactly what happened to me. That shift can cause some heaviness, maybe some deflation, which is what I experienced. I didn't experience heaviness. I mean, you know, I definitely was like deflated. And maybe a subtle stress response, which I was like, oh my God, I was just too hyper in the gas station for that lady, and I probably just made her day even worse. Once your nervous system labels an experience as uncomfortable or confusing, it tries to protect you from repeating it. So I immediately thought to myself, yeah, I'm never going to stop in there again. That wasn't a conscious decision. That was my body saying, ooh, we didn't like that. Let's avoid that from now on. But okay, so what's interesting is that none of this necessarily means the cashier did anything wrong. She might not write the signs. She might not always work there. Maybe she's having a terrible, terrible day. But my body wasn't reacting to her. It was reacting to the broken expectation my brain created. And it created a good one. Like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen when I walked in. But how do you get over it? Because I stopped in and then I started going home and I was like traumatized. Like, I must have really built this place up pretty high. And I was like, you're an idiot. Why did you do that? You know, that's the first thing. I absolutely shamed myself for my overreaction of how great a gas station would be based on its signs. Can I just say it is very clean? The outside of it's very clean, but when I walked in, I was like, oh, ooh, it's not as clean as the outside is. So, all right. So first of all, stop shaming ourselves for the reaction. That's the first thing I had to learn and do for myself. Our nervous systems are doing their job. They're predicting something. The prediction failed, and they tried to protect us, which is exactly what happened to me. It's not weakness. It's biology. Next, we separate the sensation from the story. Just one I didn't think about until I started doing research. The sensation, which is the disappointment, heaviness, maybe a little of that deflation, that was the real story. The story our brain adds is usually something like, well, that place sucks now. I shouldn't have expected anything. So it's like you get all these weird feelings. And I know you're probably laughing at me right now thinking, this is all because you walked into a gas station. Yes! Hell yes, it is. To a gas station that I thought would be hilarious, like a circus, entertainment. I don't know. I just pictured smelling popcorn when I walked in. I don't know. Getting over it doesn't mean erasing the feeling. It means gently questioning the story without arguing with your body. So we have to remind the nervous system that one moment is not the whole picture. Our bodies learn through repetition, not logic. We don't have to force ourselves back in there like it's exposure therapy at this gas station. Sometimes it's just acknowledging like, that was one interaction. It's enough to take the edge off and say, okay, this is not completely Comedy Central, right? Okay. We have to allow things to be a little less magical. So if you have had something like this happen, or if you're just listening, you're going, she's nuts, which yes, I am. Thank you. But if you've had something like this happen and you allowed it to be a very magical moment and you walked in and you were disappointed, sometimes what hurts isn't the interaction, it's the loss of the version we imagined. Letting go of that imagined version is a small kind of grief, if you think about it. And once we name it, it stops feeling so confusing. So I'm grieving the loss of the excitement I felt of how that place would be on the inside because it wasn't matching the outside. And finally, we have to decide what's worth our energy. So getting over it doesn't mean we have to go back. You don't have to do it. Sometimes getting over it just means understanding why it happened and letting our bodies settle, let our brains settle, and maybe not fill those gaps in so much next time. Like, take on the experience before building all of these stories up in your head and choosing not to make it bigger than it needs to be. So getting over it doesn't mean like nothing ever bothered us, because it can bother you. You're allowed to be disappointed, but you're also allowed to let yourself understand that our reactions are well enough to stop letting them run the whole show. Honestly, sometimes the most regulated thing that we can do is just keep driving past. Laugh at the sign and keep moving. Sometimes you don't have to go in. Sometimes you can let your brain decide that it's the greatest place on the earth. Maybe next time I won't go in. Talk to you next time.